Hey guys, Laure here, and joining me now is Tarzan. After Griffin's first victory, congratulations and thank you for joining me after the game. That was not easy, but before talking about your journey, I want to talk about the drafts and the lane assignments, putting Aurelia bot lane and Ezreal mid. Can you explain?
네, 우선은 첫 승 정말 축하드리고 인터뷰도 감사드립니다. 그럼 이제 픽밴에 대해서 얘기를 여쭤보고 싶은데 이제 신드라 상대로 이렐리아를 보내고 미드에 이즈를 세운 그런 라인 운영 방식에 대해서 좀 알려주세요.
일단 저희 바이퍼 선수가 워낙 B1딜 쪽으로도 잘하고 초비 선수도 이제 원거리 딜러를 좀 잘 쓰는 편이라서 이제 신드라 상대로 준비했던 카드인 것 같아요.
So, well, Viper is a great non-AD carry player, and also Chovy is really good at marksman champions. So that was some sort of a counter pick for Syndra in bot lane.
Okay, and that was smart in the end, so congrats on that. Now, about the first game you had in this one, I feel like it should have been easier for you based on what I've seen from you in the LCK this year. So talk me through your debut at Worlds and why is it harder than expected?
사실 LCK에서 정말 멋진 모습으로 활약해 주셨기 때문에 좀 엄청난 모습을 기대했는데 아직은 조금 힘들어 보이는 점이 있어요. 어느 점이 가장 힘드신가요?
일단 아직 좀 보완할 부분이 많다고 생각해서 이제 대회 때 조금 더 집중할 필요가 있는 것 같아요.
So I think we have lots of things to work on and improve, so we have to concentrate more in competitive games.
Would you be able to say what you have to work on? Some details maybe?
좀 더 자세히.
아직 손이 덜 풀렸다. 이제 근데 오늘 이김으로써 이제 다음 경기는 조금 더 잘할 수 있을 것 같아요.
So I want to say we were not fully warmed up. So with this victory, I think we can perform even better.
All right. Well, I wish you good luck on that. 감사합니다. Thank you very much, Izan, for the translation. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Laure, and welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where for a second we have handheld mics. We're just dealing with a couple of tiny audio issues, but that is not going to take anything away from the fact that C9 is taking on G2 Esports, NA versus EU, and we've got big news straight off the bat. Svenskeren is out, and Blaber is in for Cloud9. What are your reactions?
It seems like a very big... Oh, maybe it doesn't. Is it working? Who knows? It seems like... How you
Does this one?
Oh, there we go. All right, let's do some sharing. I love it. All right, guys. So, Blaberin to me seems like C9 responding to the lull in the last game. If you remember yesterday, 30 minutes of inaction after the first 15 where they couldn't close the game. Blaber's known as a killer. This guy has a hard engager, and I think it gives them that more decisive mid-game that they were losing.
I can see that, but an immediate question.
I can share this to Michael Bettis.
Papa Smithy, while you make an excellent point, it does concern me after what we saw from Jankos
Talk
yesterday.
into the mic, Bettis.
Jankos, who did have a fantastic performance yesterday and kind of showcased the difference between him and Tarzan, I feel. Putting up a younger player in the form of Blaber, I think is a very dangerous thing to do in his very first game.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Now, when you do look at C9 and how they've played, they do rely a lot on Svenskeren as well to make that early action happen and those skirmishes in the early game. So what do you think of the trade-off, Roscarin?
I mean, it must either be that there's some designed strategy here that maybe they've been practicing in the works with Blaber, but that said, you're always going to say that it's not going to be the same as a Svenskeren type of performance. So I'm still going to err on the side of G2, even if it was Svenskeren. I just now think that this makes it even more weighted that direction.
I'm not exactly sure if we have our graphic, but we were going to take a look at the stats for Jankos and Blaber respectively. They look fantastic for Blaber, but he only played 4 games. But we're going to have to see how he does also in this situation. There it is.
Showing the numbers here, obviously Blaber with a 24-game played disadvantage, was playing in the Academy League, and again, let's remember that Cloud9 are very good at integrating new players into the systems they played. Kumo came in during the summer season, was able to pretty aptly replace Licorice, even if Licorice is a skill upgrade, and the way they do that is they play around those new players' tendencies where possible. Blaber's an invading jungler, most famous for their Zilean Kindred duo back when Jensen was on the lineup. So pretty much, I'm sure he's got a different champion pool, and follow the leader, follow Blaber.
But what do you make of this if you look kind of from the entourage of Cloud9? Because you are also giving a signal then to Svenskeren, right? In the second game of Worlds, and such an important one to say, no, we're going to choose Blaber?
I know that it was really common for RNG when they had 2 junglers, MLXG and Karsa, that they would often start one.
This is not the same situation.
Keep Karsa in the background, though, so he could study the tape. So this actually could give advantage and information to Cloud9. If you have Svenskeren sitting in the background, you know you're going to get another run at G2 and just have this guy try to download the formula.
That's an interesting take, and that could very well be the case, Papa.
And we had it pretty famously with specifically Blank watching Pathing on SK Telkom T1 behind Peanut 2 years ago, the last time that SKT was a world. So it's a founded thing, and honestly, you wish you had that sideline interview with Reaper to get an idea of where the plan comes from.
Yeah.
Regardless of what's happening from the side of Cloud9, they have to be afraid of going up against this G2, largely because this was not the G2 that we saw throughout the entirety of the year. They went for a slower style of play. They went for more of a scaling draft. And the fact that they played it so flawlessly and they punished Griffin so effectively just goes to show how much more adaptation and growth this team has made in the lead up to Worlds.
But here's my question for the panel. Was that a Griffin-specific strategy to go against their slow tendencies, or is that their tournament read? We can't know with a sample size of one, so how they play against Cloud9 here might give us a big insight.
I still feel, though, that what we saw, even if it was more of a scaling comp, G2 still ended that game in 30 minutes.
True.
This is a team that still pushes advantages forward. They always push forward with their vision line, and the way in which they play around Perkz to make sure that gold is consistently funneled into him to be that big hyper carry, I think is still prevalent on the side of G2.
Now the players are about ready. I'm sorry to cut you off. I think maybe due to the fact that we have these handhelds now, this is not as spicy, but this is still an NA versus an EU battle. And more than that, it is so incredibly important for the situation in this group. So I wanted some fighting words, but we're just going to go straight into the game and see the fighting firsthand. Massive clash, NA versus EU, C9 versus G2 Esports. Let's go.
Thank you very much, Shox. Welcome back to the caster desk. I am Greek still with Jat and Ender, and this is going to be an absolutely exciting battle. G2, one of the absolute pre-tournament favorites. LEC champions, of course, MSI champions. They are the expected top dog of this group, but against them is a Cloud9 who continue to succeed on the international stage.
And both of these organizations made it to the semifinals of last year's World Championship, and both also won their day one game. Yes, G2 comes into this one, I think, is a very real and fairly heavy favorite, but Cloud9 is an international team who is one game away from being the NA top team and really has never matched up against G2 with this setup. If the Rift Rivals games were played, they weren't an indicator. Siki was sick. They were subbing junglers all over the place. Now it's C9 with Blabber.
All right, well, picks and bans come through. Syndra banned away from Perkz. The Yasuo dropped off here as well, but they left up the Qiyana. This is something that we heard from Doublelift earlier in the day. It's a risk to leave up the champion. That one nearly punished them. Team Liquid back a while ago, but this time around, Qiyana comes in. Very, very strong champions. Few teams leave her up, but it goes to G2.
It is a big risk to leave that up. The Pantheon has been basically 100% banned. The respect from the Syndra is big from there. And then also the Yasuo, like it's the lesser of 7 evils, right? Because of all the things you have to do against G2.
All right, I think I'm back, guys.
Good stuff.
You're back. Welcome. All right, so Cassiopeia,
what have I missed?
Elise comes in as well. You're seeing Qiyana get first pick here for G2, and very interesting picks though. Cloud9 get a great early aggressive jungler for Blabber.
I also love every time the Xayah is available for Perkz. This is one of his most comfortable champions for sure. The Zyracon power duo for these two players. And Perkz plays Xayah and just marked him in a very different way. He put so much resources onto him in the mid game, farming multiple lanes, farming all the jungle camps, that he almost always has a level lead. And that's something you have to watch out for every single time you play against G2.
And one thing that I feel like G2 is best at is pressing the go button at the right time, and they have given themselves so many tools to do so. The Qiyana plus Zyracon, the that can basically instantly delete pretty much any champion that C9 now has if they pull it off. So pretty devastating pick so far from G2.
So they can get counter-engaged though. Tristana, of course, good at laning in most matchups, right? Being ranged, of course, helps. The push, of course, helps. And if someone comes in, you can bust them right back out with maybe not enough tools to reclose the gaps. That'll be fun to watch for. Tristana tends to be a mid laner nowadays, but she can still be moved around because Cassiopeia tends to be a mid laner in general.
Yeah. Can be moved bot.
Of course.
You can definitely see a Cassiopeia bot against Rakan as well. pretty risky if you get engaged on, but the Miasma could be used to his advantage.
Regardless of where those two champions do go, I am personally expecting to see Qiyana flex into the jungle here for Jankos. Qiyana can sometimes struggle in these early laning phases against the all-in power of a Tristana or a Cassiopeia, so those levels 1 through 3 can be very, very volatile. So I personally would like to see Jankos pick that up for himself and then get Caps a strong matchup that can be favored in the Cassiopeia or Tristana in the mid lane.
Veigar ban coming away. Pretty important one there, of course. Very good at stopping engages. G2 wanting to make sure that their engage can come through. Nautilus, no surprise into the Rakan matchup. That was almost always the expected support down there for Zeyzal as Zoe comes through. Almost certainly in the mid lane, but I've actually still seen bot lane Zoe played here before, and as the Vladimir comes in, of course, we're expecting Xayah Rakan down the bottom lane, but you never know for sure. Regardless, Qiyana and Vlad and Zoe, meaning it's the Qiyana jungling.
I really like this composition coming through from G2, in particular the Zoe pick right now, because you see Cloud9 with the Cassiopeia and the Tristana, you have consistent DPS from range scaling into the late game. So now G2 with the Zoe can actually outrange that, have incredible poke to lead up into these fights, when then you have the Wombo combo, all the damage of a Vladimir layering on top of a Qiyana and this Xayah. So G2 have a lot of different options here in this match.
Also seeing the Aatrox coming through for Licorice. This is something that we saw impact play into Nagari's Vladimir. And even though the Vladimir farmed fairly well early, the Aatrox does have the self-healing and ability to build healing reduction later, so it can actually stand up to it in the side lanes. And we've got about 5 seconds to see whether or not Sneaky's going to be playing his second mage bot in 2 games.
The case here, last second to come through, and it is going to be Cassiopeia in the bottom lane. So Miasma to stop the grand entrance and even the shield backwards, of course, from Mikyx's Rakan. It works against 2 of the abilities there. Could be a lot of power.
Well, keep in mind, the Miasma was changed to have a much smaller minimum cast distance. So it used to be that if Rakan would just get inside Cassiopeia's range, nothing Cassio could really do about it. Now, if that goes down as Rakan is entering, you absolutely block the exit.
And you set up for Nautilus to put down all of his CC as well. So there's a ton of pick tools on the side of Cloud9, as well as those scaling DPS threats. This one is going to be a great one.
G2 versus Cloud9. Let's get in the game.
You know?
We're in Europe this year, Jat.
It's fitting as well, as far as dueling fan chants, because they both have 2-syllable names. I'd say it's about 80% G2.
No matter where you are, it'll always come out.
So the
At least we have TSM at Worlds this year.
So the point I was going to make as we get into another NA-EU battle is, I think it was back in NA in 2016, people didn't know how to chant C9. They would try and do the same tempo as TSM, but it was a 2-syllable team name and they just get lost.
Cloud9.
Yeah, it was like C9, C9, and then they'd either run out of breath or have too long of pauses. So we settled on, let's go C9, which is what we just saw for G2, which allowed them to duel. So even though they did the TSM chants, the fact that these are both 2-syllable names makes me happy. It's a healthy duel of chants.
That's nice. They're even 1 letter and 1 number. The symmetry is beautiful. But 9 is bigger than 2, but G2, meanwhile, taking their own red buff, getting the leash down there and heading into the bottom lane. There is nowhere to go with that one.
All right.
As Blabber gets his leashless blue buff on this side.
So looking at Blabber's pathing, I just always want to hone in on the new player on this roster and how it impacts this early game. We're seeing him start on the bottom side of the jungle, and what would not surprise me at all is to see him go for a 4-camp clear and then maybe look to make something happen around the top lane. Because you can clear all those bot side camps, pick up your red buff, and then potentially contest a 2v1 or a 2v2 around the Aatrox, because Aatrox is always going to bring a lot of power in these early skirmishes, especially against the likes of a Vladimir that, well, Wonder's doing his best Nuguri impression right now with the Klepto as well as the boot, so he's not going to have a ton of power in the 2v2.
Yeah, and I also want to address some of the potential reasons why we could be seeing Blabber, because it's quite a shocking move from the outside to see the North American MVP subbed out in their game against G2 as they have the level 2 early
Nice
on.
timing. Before level 2 came in for C9, so not good trades there.
So what I think C9 is going for is a sense of volatility in this matchup. Svenskeren was the best early game jungler in all of the LCS as Jankos is thinking about going for Nisqy. Except Blabber actually had even better early games than Svenskeren did. Yet Blabber kind of fell apart between 15 and 20. And Jankos, it follows.
The root. A trade of flashes Nisqy.
Now top.
Comes out now, looking at this play up there. That Sanguine cooled down. Blabber's going to find some red buff damage and walk out.
Now, it might not look like the 4 camp into top, but it was because he took away 2 of the small wolves in order to be able to hit level 3 off of just like 3.5 camps right there for Blabber. Unable to find anything, though. While mid lane was a trade, I can't help but feel like Nisqy is going to be fine with that because now he will have access to that rocket jump, and Jankos won't be able to close the gap on this Qiyana.
You walk to the brush now. Looking at Jankos back and forth here again. Flashless now on the Qiyana. Use that to make mid lane more volatile there.
Blabber can't stay here for too long. Actually, Wonder makes the call that the pressure in the top lane is more important than helping Jankos for Scuttlecrab. That's likely a team call where Jankos will say, don't worry about it or not, because he has plenty of camps to clear.
And the lane is sort of frozen in mid as Nisqy goes in.
That's a flash forced out, and now Drowsy onto the opponent, but you can easily just block this one on Blabber's side. Minions help as well, but Cap's now very low in this matchup.
I love how active Blabber has been in this game, not only with that early game top lane, but standing his ground inside of the river, knowing that even if a Vladimir roams down, it's not going to be able to match up if Licorice on his Aatrox come down as well. So with this strong level 3 jungler, Blabber has now taken control over both Scuttlecrabs, and by burning Flash on Caps' Zoe, it means that Nisqy can actually have kill threat in this lane by charging up that full bomb and going for a forward W.
I'm also looking at the gold already. G2's 1,000 gold up, 4 minutes and a half in just from laning. It's just little advantages across the board. 500 gold for Wonder. He's been just destroying this lane with his Kleptomancy, only having to burn the pool even after Blabber has gone for that. So the early lane phase for Licorice's Aatrox definitely tricky.
Oh, put him back in. This is decent damage. Wonder's running pretty low on HP. He could flash the wall. Does choose to. Does Licorice follow?
He can get him.
Is this enough? Empowered kills him for Wonder, though. He can get the heal. And now the bottom side Sneaky goes down. Zeyzal can't land the anchor. It's traded to the top side, but that is still overall advantage G2.
Perkz and Mickey are able to kill Sneaky in lane right there and find that kill, but at the same time, Licorice fires back after losing the CS in this laning phase. Going up against that Klepto Vlad, he shows that you do have that all in power.
Immediately, Sneaky is back with his teleport as well, though opting not to go for the combat summoner in this one, and the heal would have actually been the thing to save him. So even with the death in the top lane, G2 still with a 900 gold lead in the early laning phase.
Well, recall coming through for Perkz, now having burned a lot of cooldowns to make that one through. We can watch that top side fight again, and we see Licorice getting to pull him in on the W.
Yeah, Wonder gets snapped by everything right there and dragged back in. Even if he uses the pool right there, it still will drag him back towards the center of the ability. And now he's just trying to buy time for Jankos, who was on the top side of the map, to run on over here. But Licorice lands absolutely everything, is even able to knock him down with that range on the passive.
Watching what happened in the bottom lane as well, kind of catching up since we were watching the beginning of the Aatrox play. Let's see how they end up pulling off this kill. It's just a straightforward engage on Mickey, but immediately on their power spike of the level, as soon as they both hit level 4, they know they'd win that all in. Extra stats and extra skill points.
Yeah, Sneaky was also pretty low on mana there too, so it was always going to be hard for him to turn and hold his ground, regardless though he couldn't fire off any spells because he was very far behind. Now one thing that is quite interesting from G2, look at that, 3 Fairy Charms to keep the mana topped off in lane. You know, does sell for a large amount of that return. I think you only end up dropping about 40 gold off of that purchase, but will mean that they can apply more and more pressure in these lanes and fire out their skills.
I think you lose 54 gold total. It's the cost of an old mana potion, basically. 30% of the, I think it's 180 to buy one, or 45, something like that. Regardless, it is pretty cheap, and it's a lot of mana over the course of time. It's a good laning item, as wards are cleared down to the bottom side, and Sneaky at least has equaled the farm for the most part, but there's still plenty on the board for Perkz to grab, and gonna feel good with that early BF sword picked up. Jankos waiting in the wings. This is gonna be a 3-on-3 as they're gonna go for the engage right away. Don't knock up Sneaky just yet. It gets right back away.
That play maybe is different if Jankos is able to find the Water Blade. Ooh. Clutch sleep right there from Caps. He is not able to take these all-in trades up against Nisqy. And even the poke battle up against him, because Tristana is going to be itemizing into the Blade of the Ruined King, you already see the Vampiric Scepter. It makes it very easy for Nisqy to stay topped off in lane and give pressure for Blabber.
Wants to take the advantage, though. He has the control ward and should be able to know the red buff is there, but...
Oh!
Nope.
Jankos grabs it, able to walk away. Level 5 for both.
Blabber's got to watch out.
Blabber plants a stun, but he's got Caps kind of nearby. Gets just away from the sleep, just walking for this one, but is there enough space to go? There is, just barely snaking away with his life.
The ward spotting Caps, they're so clutch right there because Blabber almost gets hit by the bubble, saw it coming though, and was able to escape. Still, I continue to praise Blabber for this aggression because this is what I need to see out of him to make it pay off for C9. The only way we've ever seen teams reliably be able to beat G2 in the LEC was to attack them in the early game, to get an advantage over them. So Blabber's role here was to come in and blow the game wide open. He got a flash so far, and he is trying to play aggressive, but I need to see more and need to see especially him get some kills onto the flashless members of the G2 lineup.
Now looking at the game state overall, it remains 1,000 gold difference as the bottom lane has very much been Perkz and Mickey centered here again, up 10 CS and that kill. They finally jump in. There's a little bit of grounding there, but Mickey able to walk away. The Guardian Shield helping as well, and just not a lot of harm down there. The other side, though, is what I'm more interested in, this top side. Licorice getting that solo kill early on, but Jankos could come around.
Yeah, he's level 6 as well. So here he comes, flashless Licorice. Blabber's pretty far away.
Does have ulti for move speed if he needs it. There's Hemo playing on top. There's the ult for the move speed. The flash in there. Go look at a big hit right there. A lot of damage.
Licorice!
Licorice is in a 1v2 and it's not enough people. Send a bigger army.
Wow, for Licorice.
Here we go.
Just like last time.
Featherstorm over the top. The big root coming across though. I don't know if they have the damage knocked on Sneaky. The feathers do come back, but it's one traded and Mickey is on the wrong side of the map. He cannot walk away. The anchor's too big.
What are G2 doing right there? Jankos misses the ultimate into the top lane, then go way too ham underneath the tower, and now Wunder has the flash, has the pool, but he's in trouble.
See if he can walk away from this one, of course, doesn't have many of these tools, and they don't pull aggro just yet. Now they can re-engage, but the pool is down. Gonna try for a little bit, but the jump right back up. The slam comes down. 3 kills for Licorice. Caps can't capitalize on this, and Licorice gonna look to walk away. Jumps over the wall. Jankos nearby, and he's gonna pull for it. He's asleep, and Nisqy sleeps with the fishes.
They want even more. This play keeps going. Caps wants to get Blabber.
Ignite, that's enough. Nice pickup there for Caps, and they're hungry for more. They force the flash and Licorice, but Jankos, oh, that could have been dangerous, but walks away, getting 2 kills back.
These are the games we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
9 kills in the first 9 minutes, only 300 gold. G2 had so much lane power in the early game, but Licorice comes in massive with the 2v1, and C9 repelled the second dive from G2's bottom lane to keep this game competitive.
C9 are basically able to win everywhere on that map. Blabber coming in as well to find that tower dive on towards Wunder. Maybe staying a little bit too long right there as G2 were able to fire back themselves. Still ahead in gold, still maintaining control in that department. Can't help but feel that once Nisqy gets some items, potentially try to run over.
He keeps running out, just barely gets away from the feathers. Good damage across, but it's not going to be enough. Sneaky just cannot make these trades happen. G2 still strong in the bottom lane. 30 CS lead for Perkz.
Just dominating that 2v2 as Perkz and Mickey did to most at MSI and throughout their time together. If they continue to aggress, though, as C9 is counting on it, C9 would be here.
I'm still nothing but impressed by Perkz as a player. The thought of him role swapping to bot lane to make room for Caps in the lineup, and yet he's probably the strong point of the team. They're going to pull in Mickey, but he gets away in time. The miasma's not there.
Sneaky wasn't quite in range to cast the miasma and didn't want to throw a blank there, but that's a decent investment of time from C9, and it ends up giving them basically nothing.
Both junglers are still sticking around right here, and there's going to be a fight in the bot side.
Well, not sure there's Elise to go, but she's going to find some damage back across. Does knock down Jankos, but a trade killer comes in. Sneaky's dead right away. The flash away, Perkz knows to respect Licorice there.
And a whole other game being played in the jungle as Caps nearly took down
Caps
this
is still
game.
going.
He's got a couple flashes.
Trying to find him. Took the safe recall. That's smart of him to do.
And C9's still going in here. Caps is full health in their jungle.
And Licorice is about to run out of his. He's trying to run backwards. Just barely going to go down to the Featherstorm, but Perkz, he's got backup. He's got shielding. Zeyzal's going to drop, and I'm not sure Blabber has the damage. Picks up one, but Caps has arrived. Puts the the bubble down, gets stunned, but there's still going to be enough damage here, and the G2 Army knocks down 3.
It keeps looking like Cloud9 are winning these fights, but then against all odds, Perkz and Mickey jump in for the 2 versus 3, win that fight, and the whole time, Wunder is just pushing up in that top lane, making back the gold that he lost after a couple rough trades against Licorice.
3 plates taken down to the top side. He's got to be rich right there. 103 CS, highest in the game.
I mean, before that play, Wunder was down 500 gold. Now he's up 200 just off of laning up there against nobody. Seeing this fight one more time, it is Jankos jumping on towards Blabber, but Jankos is so squishy right now. Barely gets his ultimate off before he goes down. And now it's 2v3. This is where everything is won from C9, but Perkz did not use his ultimate in that engage.
Yeah, and Perkz and Mickey, it's their time to take over this game after that fight because Perkz ended up picking a double kill on the backside. Watching this as well, Blabber is tracking Jankos extremely well, but Perkz and Caps are going to be a problem. I remember Perkz saying, I don't know, it was Perkz or Caps. One of them said, I knew if I teamed up with the other person, it was going to be nearly impossible to beat us. And in this game, they need each other because their top lane's 0-2, their jungler's 0-3, and it's them with the huge bags of gold, and they're the ones that need to carry.
And it's also C9 making some smart macro decisions right here because bot lane is getting absolutely hammered in that 2 versus 2, so they rotate up sneaky towards that top side of the map. That allows them to pick up the Rift Herald, and then they can try to trade some plate gold. But it is Perkz solo in that bottom lane, finding 3 turret plates for himself too. So as we mentioned before, Perkz as a player loves just funnel so much money onto him. He has a 1,200 gold lead over anyone else in the game, and Wunder is number 2.
Yeah, coming into the day, Perkz was 11.1 CS per minute, which is the highest of players at Worlds. He's going to keep that up as G2 continue to match C9's pace.
Takes a lot of damage. Oh, Jankos can't get over the wall. Takes a whole bunch of damage, and he's going to get slammed down. Some plates fall, but the bot lane turret already dropped. Now it's again Wunder, a bit against the world, looking around for his opening, gets knocked up yet again. There goes the Sanguine Pool. Caps across the wall now as well. The turret falls, the stopwatch buys some time, but there's still no way out for the Vladimir. Cloud9 do pick up 2 kills, but they again do lose that bottom turret.
This is reminiscent to me of the way C9 tried to play against RNG last year in the group stage. They are just going so fast, and even though G2 is the best at matching people, Jankos and Wunder have been killed 7 times in this early game.
And without getting a kill either, those two look absolutely flustered because in that situation, the top side of the map is the weak point for G2. They only had 2 players there underneath the tower, but as Jankos getting picked off one more time, as the rest of his team tries to come over towards him, they're unable to actually protect against that dive here. So G2 definitely need to be able to stop the bleeding on this top side of the map because if you look at it, I think scaling looks very good for them. Even though C9 do have some late game threats and range at their disposal, G2 have a lot of different options in the way they can approach this game in terms of pick, in terms of poke, in terms of team fight.
Cloud9 found a small opening though, into the mid lane they go. They trigger the Demolish, 2 more autos, and they're gonna knock that one down. So briefly, a turret lead for Cloud9, and it closes the gold gap to 1,600. Make no mistake, G2 still ahead in this one, and they've got a very fed Xayah, which means a lot.
And also watch for Caps bubbles as C9 try and contest this next Drake. One good bubble with how squished some people on C9 are could make all the difference. And then on the flip side, see if Zeyzal can get a good initiation because G2 is also a bunch of squishy players. The one that we do need to keep our eyes on the most, though, as you say, is Perkz, the most gold on the team and the most potential damage.
C9 are just going to go ahead and give this one up, though, but
Drowsy.
Sneaky.
Well, gets a bit of this down, but the Ignite is still on him. I believe he has just enough health. Should not burn down all the way, just has enough right there. He's fine.
I thought the red was going to kill him.
That would have been hilarious.
He did lose the ultimate, though, and now G2 can siege mid lane. Big damage.
Chunk there. Blabber going to stay alive with this turret. He is losing a lot of HP, and there's still 3 turret shots left of that minion, so they're going to knock that one down.
Even though the bubble from Caps does not result into the kill on Sneaky, removing that mid lane tower from the game is going to be so pivotal here for G2. All of a sudden, much more easy for them to gain control inside of the enemy jungle, and whenever you have Zoe on your team, that's where you want to live. Because you want to use the added range of those walls with your bubbles in order to catch the opponents by surprise. And all you have to do is deny vision inside of the river, and that leads to some very easy to execute picks.
And G2 is moving around the map so quickly and so well right now, getting that top turret. And this is where I have questions for Cloud9 because we know Blabber's amazing early game. His weakness and C9's weakness with Blabber instead of Svenskeren was the mid game here. So how can C9 stop G2 from just running over them between 15 and 25 minutes?
So far they haven't found the opening yet. They're going to look for it, but right now this turret's down to about 1/4 HP. And again, the poke lands into the dive. This could be so great for G2. Across the wall they go. 2 kills picked up, 1 traded back, but it's a 3-for-1. Cloud9 cannot stand up to G2.
Have an answer about how C9's going to do it. They're not. They're just going to get doped by G2 as 5-man strong, crush through them in the top lane.
How many teams, though, would actually look for that dive? 17 minutes into the game, it's a 5 versus 4. That's just a 1-player advantage, but they see Licorice in mid lane, and that's where so much of the gold for Cloud9 is. Nisqy and Sneaky just do not have the firepower up to compete against it, and you see the Hemo play go down onto multiple members at the start of the fight, then the flank from Jankos. Just that damage amplification from Vladimir is devastating.
And the instant the miasma expired, G2 went in. Sneaky has to be so careful with that cooldown because if he uses it flippantly like he did there, just to clear the wave, that will happen. G2's willing to press the go button.
And G2 had to know exactly how much damage they did too, because their carries were split on the left side of the tower. If they did not instantly blow up those 3 primary targets from Cloud9, they're instantly split up, they're instantly left out to dry, and Cloud9, with the flanking Aatrox, could get so much back in that engage. G2 definitely play a very risky style of League of Legends, but when they're able to calculate the damage like that and just know how powerful they are at this moment in the game, that's when it feels almost impossible to compete with them.
I love risk-loving League of Legends. It's exciting, and if you can calculate that right, as you're mentioning there, it makes you one of the best teams in the world. G2 are absolutely that, looking to go 2-0 in the group stage so far. 4,000 gold lead. Looking very likely to take C9 down here. 11-11 in kills, but the farm difference, the turret difference, even the Drake lead, yeah, it's G2 all the way.
I mean, it's almost a 4,000 gold lead for Perkz over Sneaky right now. That is just absolutely disgusting between those two players.
Oh, there's so much done right there. He's going to run away, but the Ignite's still on him. Wonder could very well burn down, and he does. That's at least something on the Cloud9 side. Sneaky will slink away with his health, but Caps could try to find this in the backside. If he can find that bubble, he's going to look for it. He's going to look over the wall, and he's going to knock down Sneaky. A second kill comes through as Blabber drops, making a 3rd kill. Perkz does so much damage, chases in, finds the triple, and Licorice is alone. He's got no team left. G2 surrounds him, and they're going to push in for the damage. Look for the kill. The turret gives him a little bit of space, and he will clear the wave.
Perkz is taking over this game, and G2 are not slowing down. Licorice tries to stay alive, but he gets slept. He's going down.
And there it is. The ace comes through. 2 kills for Caps, 3 for Perkz. That's where all the kills go. Those carries doing so much work.
They are so on point this game. Caps and Perkz together. Every time C9 expends themselves to kill Wunder or Jankos, Caps and Perkz absolutely have their backs. They know what C9 used. They said, hey, it doesn't matter if we start this fight a man down. We have so much power in what is now a full 3-item Xayah 20 minutes into the game. Watch this again. Yes, Wunder is dead, but that doesn't stop G2. Caps keeps going for it. He takes Sneaky down at the start of this fight, and they say, hey, you know what? Sneaky can't participate. It's 4v4. And we don't have time for replays because everyone thought Wunder was going to get jumped on again.
And when you have a roster this stacked, sometimes it just does not matter, but Blabber's in so much trouble.
They're going to find a double knockup at a Mickey, and the re-engage not so far great for Cloud9 side. They got to run away, but there could be a re-engage. Caps goes in, doesn't find the damage.
Perkz was still down on the bottom side of the map, though, so G2 weren't ready to jump all the way forward. Perkz with 3 items now, just 20 minutes into the game. Absolutely monstrous. He's going to go ahead and solo out the Mountain Drake too, and with 2 mountains with this super fed marksman as well. It seems inevitable that G2 can move over towards the Baron. Look at the gold. I mean, you compare him to Sneaky, that is 4,500 gold. That's like an Infinity Edge and then some.
I mean, I got to point out the fact that Nisqy is behind Mickey in gold. This is a pick. They saw first pick Qiyana and said, okay, maybe it's going to be a good pick for us here on this Tristana against it. Zoe comes in later. And just in general, Nisqy's always been down in CS. He's gotten very little done for himself. And 131's a pretty appalling count there for him. I mean, there's a 1 in 4 Vladimir with way more than he's got, and there's just no damage out of that mid lane.
And in his defense, he was ganked very early on, and then the kills from Caps came from roaming around the rest of the map. So he didn't get that laning phase that he actually wanted. Here we go.
First stun's gonna land for a little bit there. The ult across the backside, but Mickey staying alive. And this could be more of a re-engage stun through the wall. They're gonna look for Licorice here on this one. Perks could be found out. 1,000 gold to Licorice, but Zay's gonna get deleted. It's still a 2-for-1. It's Cloud9 still forced to run. Sneaky does not have a way out. He finds his stun, but he doesn't have the damage just yet. There's a double kill in for the Vladimir. It's 4, it's 5, it's an ace for G2.
G2 come up huge right there. Perks goes down, but it still does not matter. And now they're going to turn their eyes towards the Baron. All 5 members of Cloud9 have been felled. It's with double mountains, it's going down fast.
That felt like the final nail in the coffin for C9. They were desperately trying to get the fight after they take down Perks, which felt like hadn't happened, but they didn't get Caps, they didn't get Wonder, and all of G2's carries, plus their massive gold lead, were able to finish this fight. And the start, actually pretty good, right? They got a face-checked Rakan, unable to finish the deal on that. Nisqy loses vision when he rocket jumps in to try and last hit Mickey, and even if they caught Perks, look at Caps on the backside.
So much damage. Yeah, and Sneaky can't retaliate because he's just getting outranged by Zoe at this point in the game. Misses the spells right there, but the zoning does enough. Now Wonder can do his duty, as Blabber does come in to try and assassinate on the backside, but there's still a stopwatch up for Caps. The odds are just so stacked against Cloud9. Even when the abilities landed, even when they did kill Perks, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, the most deaths by Sneaky in a game here, 6. He had max of 5 deaths in any summer split game. And look at that.
And Perks, he died at the start of the fight. He still did the most damage in the fight right there too with all the feathers. That is just absolutely ridiculous. Now the siege is where it becomes real scary for Cloud9 because with the Zoe, with Xayah's safety, Xayah can walk up and free hit those towers. Zoe can poke and land for bubbles. It becomes very hard to pull the trigger and find the pick, especially when the skill shots do not connect. Oh my.
Sneaky just almost deleted. This one comes in to keep Perks safe, but that's still a couple of forced recalls out, which means the mid is open, and the turret's going to fall. Inhibitor will follow as well.
G2 play without fear right there. Perks, we've seen this from him in the LEC, but he's level 14, the highest level in the game, going underneath towers, going deep towards the Nexus. Blabber is going to get down very low, and here go G2, the final push.
Snowflake might just kill it by himself, barely stays alive, looking for a re-engage now. Can C9 do anything to stop their base from falling? 24 minutes in. Baron buff on the squad. G2 do not know how to slow down into this one. And here they go, on to turret number 1. 5v5 to close the game right now. Sneaky out of hell, 2 for 0, 3 already picked up, make it a 4th. There is no chance at all. Cloud9 are deleted. G2 with 2 stompy wins so far in the group stage. And one of the tournament favorites takes care of business.
And before the tournament, we were mentioning 3 main favorites, G2, SKT, and FPX. And of those 3, G2 have looked the best by far.
And we know in G2 wins, they always look so incredibly dominant. But even in this game, while the top side of the map is falling behind, it is Perks and Caps able to step up. When Perks falls down in the fights, it flip-flops the other way. With the roster so seeped with talent here for G2, it seems like you can look to literally anywhere, and there's going to be a player ready to carry the game.
I'm very curious if we get a 6-0 G2 here, because 6-0 rarely happens in the Worlds group stage. No matter how many favorites you see, no matter how easy their groups often look, 6-0 is a rarity. G2 look the most poised to do it here.
The last time we saw a 6-0 was Longzhu in the 2017 World Championship in terms of group stage. Only 2 games so far for G2, but their 3rd is against a 0-2 member of their group. So looking poised heading into tomorrow and looking pretty stacked.
Looking absolutely stacked. European super team, MSI champions, and they have taken care of business. Fast wins, dominant wins. Perks has been, I would say, huge in both of those. Again, moved to bot lane this year, and he's one of their best members.
And it's just the 2v2. They're getting the kills in that lane. Misstep one time, but that's just not enough because they go up 30 CS in this lane. It is really just so incredibly just oppressive as a team that G2 can do this even without jungle assistance. Yeah, because what, like 1 in 5 in that game, really not offering much. It was just solo lane prowess and Caps roaming that got this team the win.
And meanwhile, I do want to give some props over to Licorice here. We've seen a lot coming out well for NA top laners, but I think back to Licorice at Worlds last year, where he did well in Afrika, he withstood Keen, and then he got honestly demolished by Bwipo. That was one of the biggest weak points in C9 versus Fnatic. Here, he got, I think, 2 solo kills against Wunder, who is just an absurdly good top laner, to be clear. That man is amazing. And Licorice is going toe-to-toe with some of the world's best up in that lane. That is huge for me in his second trip to Worlds. He's one of their absolute strengths.
And that's one of the miraculous things about this game, is because it's not like C9 didn't do some big-time stuff in the early game. We got to see Blabber make Jankos 0-4.
Yeah.
Almost no one can do that. And it didn't matter. They still lost in 25 minutes, so yeah. G2 is pretty fearsome.
G2 is stacked. Well played by them. 2-0 in the group stage. Now it's time to hand it over to Worlds Cooldown.